Hi guys! So today we're going to discuss the CARES Act, also known as the 2020 stimulus package, and how it affects small businesses like ours, salon owners, solopreneurs, and hairstylists namely. So let's start by talking about the PPP, or Paycheck Protection Program. This is actually a loan for small businesses that is put out by the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and it could help small businesses get 2.5 times their monthly payroll up to $100,000. It's a 10-year loan that maxes out at a 4% interest rate, and you can pay it off at any time with no penalty. Now, the reason that people are very interested in this loan, and it's very enticing and something we should all be looking into and just knowing about in general, is that certain things that you pay for with this loan when it comes to your business are forgivable, which means it almost becomes grant-like. However, it still is a loan. It just, those expenses have to fall under certain categories. And these categories include payroll, rent, and utilities. Now, for us salon owners and solopreneurs and studio concept salon owners, what this does not include: color, supplies, education, different things like that. It includes kind of those bare necessities of your rent, your utilities. I've seen somewhere it says debt repayment, things like that, but it would not include your materials or supplies. And when I say would not include, that means in the forgivable portion of the loan. Now, you can use the loan for those things, but you will need to pay it back. Now, to apply for this loan, you are going to be wise to contact a banker at your local bank and make sure you're asking about the PPP loan, not a small business disaster loan. It's totally different, totally structured different, and you're going to need an EIN, an employer identification number. So you'll have this on your taxes as long as you're, registered as an LLC or an S Corp, and you just have your business registered by the state. So next up, we're going to discuss unemployment for the self-employed. When you are an LLC or an S Corp and you have you're a salon owner or a studio concept salon owner or a booth renter, you have your own, business, you're self-employed, and you don't normally contribute to unemployment. So you are not normally eligible for that. Now, under this new plan, that unemployment has been expanded to include self-employed folks. The issue is when you consult websites like the DES, which is where you should be consulting, by the way, they're going to have the most up-to-date information. They are not quite to the point as of today, which is April 2nd. They're not quite to the point where their website is set up for us self-employed people to start registering for that unemployment. Now, from what I've read, and I will list all my sources down below. So what I've read from New York Times, the DES, the Senate, normally with unemployment, you would get, say, 40 to 45% of your normal weekly income. Now, with the new stimulus package, people have been told they could get up to an additional $600 a week in income. So if you made $1,000 a week and then you got normal unemployment, that's down to like $400, right? So that stimulus package would move in and buffer the rest of that income. Now, for some of us, maybe that doesn't cover it or whatnot, but that's the thing. This is not necessarily a cure to all of our problems. This is to help the US economy stay consistent and us to stay above board with our bills and our expenses. So keep that in mind as well. Things to keep in mind with either the PPP or the unemployment for self-employment aspects of this bill or this act. There's a lot that hasn't been disclosed yet. As of today, Thursday the 2nd, like I said, I've discussed things with my accountant. I just went and looked at the DES website, the Small Business Administration website. Like, I'm looking at these websites, and this is kind of the current information. But at this moment in time, they're still, as in the Treasury and the people at the Small Business Administration, they're still figuring out how this applies to those of us that don't have a normal payroll, right? So as an LLC, or some of my friends have an S Corp, we don't have a normal payroll to be able to like submit that like a lot of companies might be able to. So they're still figuring out how that works with us. So if you're having trouble filing for unemployment, finding information, it's because it's not out there yet. So what I encourage you to do is just kind of breathe a little bit and keep looking at these websites. Not in a way that it aggravates you or stresses you out, but just realize that just because, you know, the Senate or the president throws this idea out there and they say, yep, we're going to do it, it doesn't mean they have it all quite figured out yet. And that's really frustrating. I love things to be figured out, but that's just the way it is. So we need to be a little bit patient and think about that. So all of that to say, there's still a lot of the nitty gritty that isn't quite, you know, figured out yet. Even my accountant was like, I will let you know when I know. So he's, you know, he's more of the numbers guy, obviously. So keep that in mind when you're doing your research. Not all the information's out there, but where you can find that information, it's going to be, they're going to be linked down below, so you don't have to freak out about that. But websites like the DES, which is the Department of Commerce, they actually have a really helpful FAQ section on their website. Very, very helpful. I suggest you check that out. I also found the U.S. Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship's website extremely helpful, and that will be down below. And there is also a page created by Marco Rubio's team that is talking about the Keeping American Workers Paid in Employment Act. So all of those documents that I've been referencing are going to be down below. Now let's touch on the stimulus package that most Americans are going to be getting, the $1,200. So in the US, most adults that are making $75,000 or less, if they're single, they will get the full amount of $1,200. If you're married and your household income with those two working adults does not exceed $150,000, you will get the full amount of $2,400. And then the magic number, if you're filing as head of household, if you make less than $112,500, you will also get the full amount. Now, the point at which it decreases is if you were to be single and making $99,000 a year or more, it'll go down from there. At what point, we do not know. If you were married with no children, making a combined income of $198K, it will go down from there. And then a household with 2 parents, 2 children with a combined income of $218,000 are not eligible for this. And from what I've been reading online, most people will get their payments as early as April 17th. Just as a sidebar, when you're thinking about how to use the $1,200, I think for most of us, right, we'd be using this for bills and necessities. When it comes to just, and this is more of like a budget mindset with money kind of thought, when you receive that stimulus aid, remember that it is money that you have contributed in your taxes. It is not a gift. It is meant to sustain and keep the American economy going. So spending your money within the economy so that things don't crash. And I know that you can spend your money however you want, but this is not a gift. This is not the time to get a new iPhone. This is not a new time to get like a Louis Vuitton Neverfull bag. This is a time to be wise with your money, realize that this is a critical time in, you know, our personal finances, the country's finances. So be very reasonable and methodical with how you spend these resources. That's just my 2 cents. But like I said before, when it comes to the facts of all of this, it's going to be changing daily, right? Kind of like a lot of the information that we've been getting about coronavirus, that information changes daily. So you do need to be abreast of what's going on. Do it, you know, at a very safe distance so as to not like stress yourself out. But like I said, make sure to not necessarily consult every, you know, willy-nilly news agency out there, or your brother's cousin's sister that's a mechanic, or as a brother that's a plumber and has his own company. Go to the source, go to an accountant that's reputable. You can discuss this with bankers. There's just a lot of, even the people that should know what's going on haven't gotten all their details yet. So have a little bit of patience, a little bit of kindness in that, but make sure that you're looking at websites from your state's unemployment department and from also the government. That's where it's coming from. And I will say, and I think our brains are probably similar, that when you look at maybe your normal tax form, or even some of the links I've found are literally like the law breakdown of like the bill and all of the, you know, articles in it, and it's intimidating and it's in crazy legal speak. I have really appreciated that a lot of these government agencies have been kind enough to understand that we don't know that speak, and have done some really helpful Q&As on their websites or made PDFs to make it much more understandable for the layperson. So I will link my resources down below. And if you have any further questions about this, please drop them in the comments below. If you like videos like this, please like this video. And if you'd like to see my face again, subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate it. And keep in mind that this video is filmed on April 2nd, and all of this information is subject to change because that's how the world goes. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you soon. Bye.